All right, everybody. Hey, I'm Bill Kilburg, CEO of HPN Global. I've got Desi Whitney with me. Desi is, I can never say her title.
Senior Vice President of Sourcing Operations and Industry Relations.
Awesome. So it's Good Friday, and for everybody who observes, I wanted to wish a happy Easter. Spend it with your family. I know it's been a difficult time out there. So we all have great friends in the industry that we know have been furloughed. So I put my thoughts out to them. I've been doing my best in the past couple of weeks to do what we call making emotional deposits. So I'm calling people just not to say, hey, I need this, or I got to do that, or I need something on a deal. It's, hey, just how are you doing? Like our side of the business, and I'll get into more statistics in a little bit, really has been decimated by this. And everybody knows somebody, even if somebody's still working in their capacity, everybody knows 10 people who aren't. So do me a favor and reach out and just make an emotional deposit. Just call and ask somebody, hey, how are you doing? Because I'm the eternal optimist, and I believe that we will see people be good and be, not be better is the wrong word. Good will come of this, okay? Now more than ever, and I've got some notes down here, so I'm going to look down occasionally. um, Now more than ever, relationships will matter. I'm old, and I've lived through 6 economic cycles, and nobody's ever seen anything like this hit this hard this fast. So, you know, reach out and talk to your friends. There's no doubt it's ugly out there. So a couple of numbers. GDP for 2020 is forecasted to be the biggest drop since 1946. Unemployment is expected to rise to 15%. Hotels last week ran at the United States overall occupancy ran at 20%, which actually I was shocked it hit that. Here's the scary stuff. So projected occupancy for 2020 for the annual year is 38%. To put that in comparison, after 9/11, the year 2002 was at 58%. So a full 20 points below. Because again, functionally, we're having the whole quarter shut down. And 2009, after the economic meltdown, was at 54%. So this year, the hotel industry is looking at 38%. So again, everybody's hurting out there, and I feel for all my friends who were all on the sales side. But I was at Bellman, going through college and carried luggage for 6 years. Um, I feel for the bellman, I feel for the maids, I feel for the front desk clerks, I feel for the bartenders. It's not pretty out there. So as Winston Churchill said, somebody sent me this last week. If you're going through hell, just keep going, all right, and get through it. So let me get to the what I'm seeing in the industry. So, I talk to our clients. I talk to my company's associates. I talk to hotels, and I talk to senior executives at hotel companies. And frankly, I talk to my competitors as well. Functionally, everything through May is canceling, or has canceled. If it's coming before May 31st and it hasn't canceled, then they just haven't gotten around to it. We're talking to groups for June, July, and August now about concerns. Um, and what I'm seeing is, I've said the words force majeure more in the last 3 weeks than I said in my entire life. Okay, and I was actually an expert witness in a bunch of cases in the '90s. So, and I've been a CPA since '91. So here's what I'm telling people, because everybody's like, what is force majeure? When does it apply? Every client on the planet wants it to be force majeure because they want to get out of their cancellation clause. Um, it I give people 3 rules. It is the hotel open? Okay, number one. Can you get there? Are airplanes flying to the destination? Mm-hmm. Right? And is there a governmental ban in effect over the dates that you're coming? Not today, over your dates. So if the answer is yes, yes, no, I don't believe it's force majeure. And if one of those answers is no, no, yes, then probably, right? Everybody's arguing over that today. We've been executing what we call a lift and shift for all of our clients, and frankly for people who aren't even our clients who need help.
So what is a lift and shift?
So we're looking at groups that obviously have to move, and then we're finding them space with the same hotel, hopefully in the year for the year to keep the revenue and the profits in the year for that particular hotel. And then just lifting that contract functionally and putting it in an open space. It requires creativity, it requires flexibility. Many of you know that I wear a My Intent bracelet, and it has the words "Be cool" on it. So everybody's got to be cool. So if the hotel decides to, I was going to use the term freak out, but get aggressive about, hey, you can't cancel, um, and but we're trying to lift it and move it, keep the revenue for the hotel, have the client be able to have the meeting, and then everybody move forward. Everybody's got a dumpster fire in their driveway. And the meeting planner might have 1 or 2 or 10. We might have 20 or 30. A large hotel's got 500, right? And everybody is really, really sharp-edged right now.
Everyone is afraid.
Yeah, everybody's afraid, right? Because they're afraid because they don't know, they don't know what it looks like. So we're just trying to get everybody to breathe. And every client I talk to, I just say, breathe, right?
Yeah, absolutely breathe. And, to that lift and shift point and moving away from that place of fear and moving towards a place of creative solutions for everybody that ends up being a win-win for all of us.
Right.
Clients,
Right.
hotels, third
Right.
parties, AV companies, Bright Bellman housekeepers, everyone that's been impacted by the current events.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We want to keep the revenue for the hotel. So here's what I'm seeing the smart hoteliers out there do. And I heard the same thing from 2 people who are senior leaders with big brands who I both have deep respect for. They're being flexible on attrition. Now, number one, people can and have and should be flexible on Rebook with a lift and shift, especially if there's a force majeure in place. And then we'll get more into that because there's some nuances in force majeure. Be flexible on attrition, on something coming in after June 1st. Because what we're seeing in the marketplace is the fall's frankly filling up fast.
Right.
Right. And we're looking for space for groups, and there's no space. Like, so if you've got a group who they have a fundamental underlying economic issue. I had one, and I won't call it the name of the company, but they were a group that had fundamentally franchises. Those franchises are all having financial difficulty. Again, we're in a massive economic kind of seizure right now. So that group still wants to have the meeting in October, but they had 600 rooms, but they're only going to be 300, and they want to do a virtual component, which we've got an option to help them with that. But the hotel's arguing over the reduction. That if the hotel just lets them reduce, they'll still come have the meeting. The hotel will still get the base revenue. The rooms will be filled. The bellman will be carrying bags. The front desk clerks will be checking people in. And then the hotel has 300 rooms and half the space back to go sell to somebody else. And I can tell you, there's people desperate for that space right now.
Yes. Yep.
right?
There
So,
really is, yeah. We've seen everything from March, April, and certainly through May canceling.
yeah, everything through May is canceled.
Or wanting to rebook, let's
right.
call it rebook, right? Because we don't
Right.
like the word cancel necessarily, but looking to lift and shift into a later part of the year, and that part of the year is filling up. And so if a group is not going to be able to fulfill their commitment,
Right.
let's give that space to someone else who wants to
Right.
have the opportunity as well.
Right. And I've said, I've said this probably 20 times in the last week and a half as well. We all need to be creative, cooperate, find solutions, and not make this the lawyer's full employment act of 2020. Because I have seen hotels that are cool, and we work something out, and bang, done. I had a it's probably a 25-second conversation with a general manager of a 1,300 room hotel, and he was like, "What do they want to do?" And I'm like, "This, and this, and then they'll give you another deposit." He's like, "I'll call you back in a minute," and he calls me back and goes, "Yeah, done, move." Right?
Yeah.
Because he's got 500 dumpster fires in
Right.
his parking lot that he's dealing with. And then I've also seen hotels, and I'm going to tell one story, and I won't call the hotel out. I think the meeting was supposed to happen next week, and they canceled about 3 weeks ago. And the hotel's closed. It's going to be force majeure. And the hotel had an attorney send them a cancellation demand for $138,000. And it bounced to my desk when I looked at it, because I'm looking at a lot of this stuff. And I opened it up, and it's the American Society of Trauma Nurses. So what hotel hires an attorney to go after trauma nurses right now? Where does the world want the trauma nurses?
Right.
Not in
Yep. In our
not
ICUs, absolutely.
Yeah.
So going back to your point,
Yeah.
be cool.
Be cool.
Be cool.
Right. So
what are you seeing in the world of Reba credit?
Again, the smart hotels are being very flexible on attrition, and I know there's a couple of brands that are aggressively looking at that. To execute what I was talking about, where if we know the meeting has an underlying economic problem, okay, and they had 600 rooms, they're going to show up with 300. As opposed to saying, pull the trigger and cancel it, right? Come with the 300, we'll go resell the other 300, call it a day. It's flexibility, creativity, and being thoughtful right now are key.
Yes.
The other thing that I have seen a couple of times, more than a couple of times, is cancellation hurdles. So somebody's in a certain cancellation now, and it's going up in 3 weeks, or it's going up in May. And the executive director of the association is looking at it going, okay, I got to pull the trigger, right? I tell everybody I talk to breathe. Just number one, let's everybody breathe, okay? Relax, figure out a solution. So again, the smart hoteliers out there are saying, hey, let's let the client breathe a little bit. Like it's an October meeting. If we give them another 30 days to just breathe, we can see what the world looks like. We can all take it from there. We can keep the revenue on the books, and we're not going to force this person into making a rash decision, because every ED in the country and every CEO in the country right now is talking to their meeting planning department saying, what's our liability? Okay, go look at what we have on the books and what's our liability. And if we give them all time to breathe collectively as an industry, then I think it's good for them.
Yes.
I think it's good for you. And obviously it's good for us, right? So what else we got? Yes.
Yep, I agree completely. And there's so much volume and demand right now in the rebook and cancellation world. That's what our kind of new normal is for this minute, and trying to navigate through all of those things.
Right.
We don't necessarily have to make a decision, or to your point, a rash decision in this moment. Let's just take a minute and let's look at everything. And our worlds are changing so quickly right now based on travel bans and hotels that are closing and what clients are doing and our reaction to all of this. So just taking a minute, knowing we don't have to solve all of these problems today.
Right.
Yep.
Especially with hotels that all really have limited resources, right?
Which is all of them, right?
And again, I can't say it enough. Everybody is so and I've been guilty of this myself, right? And everybody is so sharp-edged in the industry right now because everybody's dealing with the dumpster fire,
yeah.
right? Just breathe, pump the brakes, and be cool.
Absolutely, and what we're seeing on our end too, to your point about limited resources, we have so many friends at different hotels, all around the world, and we are getting those out of office emails. We know how many people are now
Right.
managing a team, or they are the team. There's one director of sales managing for a hotel that used to have 15, 20 people, and that is significant. And so now that person has become ultimately responsible for everything
Right.
in their, sales world, responding to leads, whether it be us or our competitors, putting out those dumpster fires, trying to manage all of these different things on very limited resources. So it's challenging.
So you got some questions?
I do have some questions, absolutely.
So if you have a question for us,
Yes.
just put it on the Facebook page and it'll pop up, and we're going to handle as many as we can for a little
Yep,
bit. We don't want this to go too long.
No, we don't want it to go too long. I've got this up on my screen, so let me just switch gears here real quick. Okay, so I've got a question here from Joni in San Diego, and specifically about force majeure. Can we talk more about force majeure? Let's say the government ban is up May 30th, and my group travels on June 10th.
It's getting pretty esoteric. Okay, some
Right.
some judge somewhere is going to decide that when people decide to fight about it. Is it really? I don't know. Again, the rule I've been telling clients and everybody is the hotel open? Can I get there? Through commercial travel, and is there a governmental ban? So then, if the ban's over May 31st, but then we travel on June 10th, but our people won't travel. And oh, by the way, there was no conference service manager to plan my meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Like again, I get back to let's collectively as an industry, let's not make this the lawyer's full employment act of 2020.
Yes.
That's one where if I'm the hotel, I'm going to say, hey, I get that it's close. I get that nobody knows. Like maybe we should see if we can move it to September.
Right.
Right.
And we all are in this together, and we want to approach it that way and looking at everything with a creative solution and ultimate partnership.
If people talk, there's always a solution.
Yes, absolutely. Level-headed conversations, right?
Yeah, right.
Unemotional. So, hey, Michael from Dallas. The question here is, my attendees are scared to travel in October. Does that invoke force majeure?
It's force majeure, not fear majeure. And I've been around this a long time, probably longer than some of you have been alive. Just because people are scared doesn't matter. Okay, again, we get back to the 3 rules, and I'm sure there's attorneys who would tell me that I need to be more detailed about the rules, but I think that's for everybody else. That's a fundamental good set of guidelines. And I'm not trying to give legal advice, by the way. If they're afraid, it doesn't matter. If their company has a travel ban for October, it doesn't matter. So here's the example I used to somebody the other day. So I have a company and we have a contract at the Ritz Amelia Island. Our rate's $459, whatever it is. And our company, we get a new CEO, and then he institutes a ban on all hotel rates over $69. Okay, that doesn't change the contract.
Right.
Okay, the contract's still the contract, and the hotel has every right to enforce it. And I'm telling people that hotels are going to enforce contracts. Okay, now the smart ones are being flexible about lifting and shifting and moving.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, if it's a hard cancel and you just say, we're just not showing up, expect to get, in a little tussle.
Right. And so we'll see the difference between attendees that are afraid to travel, and then also even when the government lifts the travel bans, for example, but your corporate directive is that you can't travel.
But
that's the same situation.
I don't think that affects the contract. I think that the hotel has every right to enforce what they need to enforce if some company says, hey, we're just not coming because we have our own internal ban.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't matter. I saw one a week and a half ago, which seems like last year, right? That was universities, and the universities have a travel ban.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's in fall, and what the hotel should be able to look at that contract and say, you're coming. Now, again, I get back to if we collectively know that the group's going to be smaller, let's modify the attrition, release the space, find somebody else to fill the space.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
And again, I've seen people. We're doing a ton of that right now.
Right, definitely. So just a quick kind of side tangent, then I'll get back to the questions, but my thought about, attendees being afraid to travel in October, what does that look like? What is your, prediction, not that you have a crystal ball necessarily, but when do you think people will be comfortable traveling?
So it's interesting. I saw a thing, actually, Visit Orlando has a really good webinar out. It's got a bunch of, factoids on that, right? Today, 1 in 5 people, their dog, people are walking, riding bikes, they're jogging. I think that the fundamental thing in meetings is personal connection.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you look at, we've all been on Zoom meetings, right? How many people have seen somebody go to the bathroom on a Zoom meeting? Right?
Or heard a toilet flush by mistake.
Right. And so I think the meetings industry is fundamentally about social
Social
connections. It's
interaction.
about people want to connect with people. And I think this thing is going to bring out the good in people.
Yes.
Because people have been disconnected, and as soon as it's kind of over, they're going to want to reconnect fast.
They are. They really are. And what's interesting, I've done a lot of Zoom calls and the happy hours and stuff, and it's super fun, but it's also a little chaotic and kind of disorganized. But it's clear. And so all of us that sit in the meeting industry already, the way that we feel before any of this happened is that, meetings mean business. People
Right.
need to meet. We need to collaborate, get together. We need to vibe off of each other's energy. And collectively, we do really amazing things. And what is, I would say pretty profound at this time is we are seeing it, and not just to people in our industry, but everyone else. And so when we are back, we will have an easier sell, if you will, because people are dying to meet. They want to be together.
Right.
They want to collaborate and pick up on energy and ideas. And, we are grateful for the virtual meetings and what they've been able to afford us for this time, but it's just not quite the same.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. What else you got? Question?
Well, to your point about, everybody, this is really bringing out the good in everyone, and what we've seen from our end is the ultimate humanity that we already knew was a part of our industry, and our industry is such amazing dynamic people,
Right.
period. And now we see all of these, furloughs and layoffs and downsizing, and there's a lot of new social ways that we're connecting, but we're doing our best to put our arms around each other through text messages, through emails, through handwritten notes,
make emotional deposits.
making emotional deposits, and as well, we all know that there a lot of people out of jobs, and the outpouring of resources in terms of education to keep the people that are not working right now sharp on their game, and also giving them new skills has been absolutely astounding. And so I just really appreciate that about our industry, and it's a kind of a big love fest in that regard.
I'm not sure I use the word love fest. So what else? You got another question?
Yes, I do. So another question here is, this is Margie. I've been relying heavily on CVBs, and now it seems their staff has been reduced significantly. What are you seeing on the CVB side of things?
Yeah, I'm seeing that a lot from clients. They used to have, I'll call my CVB, but that person's gone now.
Right.
And so when I talk to clients, and I've talked to, frankly, a lot of new clients, and we actually had a pretty substantial booking month in March. I don't, April will be interesting as well. People are desperate for guidance and help. And the traditional people that they used to rely on for that aren't there today. And so we've been helping clients that aren't even clients. We're just here to help, right? We're not here to try and sell them on anything. It's like, somebody's got a problem, we'll help. And so, those people just aren't there.
Right.
And who knows when they'll be back, right? So we're just here to help.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So
we are here to provide creative solutions We are in this 100%
And
together.
we're here to help our hotel partners as well.
Mhm.
So,
Absolutely. That is it for the questions. I've got a lot of other stuff, but they're on the same line, so I feel like we should respect
okay, all right,
everybody's
that's cool.
time
Yeah,
and
okay.
move on.
So couple quick things, and we'll tap out. I've been telling people for a couple weeks. I believe how we comport ourselves in this is what will define us for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, to all my friends out there, be resolute, be resilient, but also be kind and caring. Okay, and there's a whole generation of people in our industry who have never been through this, and now is when we can show them leadership. So our collective success depends on us acting and not reacting. So we should look at what's going down for the summer, for the fall, come up with a creative solution, and then you know put out that fire and then move.
Yes.
So we are here for all of you today and for many tomorrows to come. So I think that's it.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you, everybody, for joining.
Thanks. All right. Shut us down.